The content of this podcast has not been evaluated by Health Canada or the FDA. It is educational in nature and should not be taken as medical advice. Always consult a qualified medical professional to see if a diet, lifestyle change, or supplement is right for you. Any supplements mentioned are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please note that the opinions of the guests or hosts are their own and may not reflect those of Advanced Orthomolecular Research Incorporated. Welcome to Supplementing Health, a podcast presented by Advanced Orthomolecular Research. We are all about applying evidence-based and effective dietary, lifestyle, and natural health product strategies for your optimal health. In each episode, we will feature very engaging clinicians and experts from the world of functional and naturopathic medicine to help achieve our mission to empower people to live their best lives naturally. Thanks for tuning in to Supplementing Health. Obesity rates in North America are on the rise, with roughly 2/3 of all adults being overweight or obese. Once a part of this statistic, today's guest is no stranger to the struggles that come with finding your way to a healthier path. Cindy Ryan Lim, or Coach Rye, joins us today to discuss her journey to health and how that has led her to guiding so many others to find their passion for wellness. Welcome, Cindy. Thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thank you.
So everyone's health and wellness journey is unique, and I would love to know where you were at when you decided something had to change for you and you started on this path to wellness.
Absolutely. I started my fitness journey back in 2007 when I was still in nursing school. And at 310 pounds, I was the heaviest I had ever been. And I was depressed and constantly sick and in pain. And my asthma was uncontrollable. And at one point in that spring, I had caught pneumonia and it almost killed me. And that was my big wake up call to be like, I need to do something about this or I'm not going to be seeing 40.
I can see that. So then where did you start? What did you do to get started?
Honestly, for me, after that big scare, I just went to our college's gym. I went to WVU, so I just started going to the gym there, and just kind of started watching what other people were doing, and I fell in love with weightlifting. And like through weightlifting, I was able to build the muscle that I needed to actually burn that fat. And then from there, I found rugby, I found CrossFit, Olympic weightlifting. Like I've kind of dabbled in like several different things since then. But the start of it, I just really walked into a gym one day and like instead of having that preconceived notion about it being full of bros and all these skinny like girls like or that already know what they're doing, there were other people like me who were trying to start their fitness journey, and that was really comforting for me.
Yeah, for sure. So did you set yourself a specific goal when you started, or it was just about feeling better?
Initially, I just kind of had in my mind that I was going to lose like 50 pounds, like just so I could take some of the stress off of my lungs and my joints. But like I said, the more I trained, the more I fell in love with it. And then that 50 turned into 100, which eventually led to this 170 pounds that I've lost in total.
And so once you got started, how long did it take you to get to the point where you felt comfortable enough to start helping others on their journey?
I would say once I got to the competitive level in most of my sports, like by that point, I had already lost the bulk of my weight. I'd been weightlifting and at least training for at some capacity for at least 6 or 7 years at that point. And the more that I trained, the more I knew I wanted to do it as a career. So it started out with rugby coaching because that was what was closest to me at the time. But that eventually led to me getting my CrossFit level one, getting a weightlifting cert, and then eventually getting my NASM. Then that also led to all these other certs, which allows me to be able to run my gym in the capacity that I do today.
And do you still compete in different sports today?
Not recently. There with COVID, of course, there's a lot of things that got shut down. We did have a Spartan team that I was part of and the captain of, but we kind of put it on the back burner. And like right now, I'm just training to train, just to be ready for anything when things are a little bit more open and things are a lot more certain for dates of training and things. But I also just enjoy being able to train to be a good role model for my clients.
That's fantastic. Um, so what would you say was the biggest obstacle you had to overcome in getting to where you are now?
Honestly, it was my own mindset. Like, I remember just being in a place of like self-loathing, and I see that in a lot of my clients, and I wasn't a stranger to that. And being able to like get past my own like inner monologue and inner demons to get to a place where I realize that I am deserving of this. Like, I deserve a healthy lifestyle. I deserve to love myself. That was one of the hardest things I had to do.
What kind of techniques did you use to get past that?
Um, a lot, honestly. Like, I went to therapy. Therapy changed my life. Um, there's no shame in asking for help, and we all have our trauma and we all have our demons, and being able to find constructive ways to cope, and having these mechanisms in place to where I don't fall back into that spiraling, and I don't fall back into those habits that got me to that 310 pounds in the first place was very key to my success.
Do you incorporate kind of therapy or different therapeutic techniques into your training with your clients, or do you recommend they go find another practitioner for something like that?
I am always a big like advocate of mental health and finding that mental health, whether it's through me or through somebody else. But I feel like that I also have this ability to connect with my clients because I've been there. I know what it's like walking into the gym for a first time. I know what it's like not knowing what you're doing, but you're doing it anyway. You're doing the thing. So I understand that. I come from that place of understanding. And as a good coach too, you should be in touch with your client. You should know if they're having an off day. You should know kind of the mental things that they're dealing with, because the more you know, the more you can help that client.
And do you find the mental space or obstacles are the biggest challenge that your clients have, or is there something else you regularly see coming up?
It's definitely mindset. Like, it's the largest part about it. Like, if we're not in the right mindset, we can't put our heart into it. And like, a lot of this is just realizing that we need that self love, and we can no longer repeat the lies that either the adults in our lives have told us and failed us, or what we have personally conditioned ourselves to believe.
And so you mentioned that you were training as a nurse when you kind of started on this journey. Do you find that medical training has helped you in this career and helping your clients get to where they need to be?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Anatomy and physiology may have ruined my summer that one semester, but it definitely gave me a great understanding of how the body works. And that really came in handy when I started studying for these extra certifications. I was still working a day job while I was as a nurse while I was starting out my fitness career. And then I would stay up all night studying anything I could get my hands on. But because I had such a good understanding already of like how the body works and how hormones and even like things with medications and people with pre-existing conditions when they come to me, like metabolic syndromes, like hypertension, diabetes, those kind of things. Like, I have a really good grasp on how to attack that while the client also feels safe because I do have that background.
So would you say there's anything that you've learned over the years as a coach that you wish you would have known when you started?
Um, Honestly, I just really wish that I knew that being myself was honestly my biggest key to my success. I have a trainer development program, and one of the things that they typically want to know when they start with me and they see my full schedule is like, how did you do it? And I spent years in a career that was unfulfilling and trying to fit into this mold of society that I just simply didn't fit in. And the one thing that I had to learn was that this was okay. I had a coach who would always kind of remind me before any competition, any heavy lift, anything where I was like really trying to like get out of my own head. He would always say, remember, you are trained and you do you. And those words, as simple as they are, have really resonated with me in my journey, and as well as my own clients' journeys, because I can now say I'm proud of who I am unapologetically, and I'm proud to be in a place that I can openly talk about my journey. And had I realized this earlier in life, I could have definitely started this amazing journey sooner and started really doing something that was super fulfilling to me.
So jumping back a little bit to the mental health piece, I mean, you've kind of alluded to it in a lot throughout the conversation, but a lot of people that have mental health issues deal with addiction. And usually when people think of addiction, they think of either like eating disorders or substance abuse. But there is, for some people, almost like an addiction to sports and activities. Do you notice that in your clients that it helps them fuel that uh, need for something and replaces sometimes an alternative addiction?
It can, but also a good coach will recognize that from the get-go that this person does have a tendency to kind of use these things as a coping mechanism into like such an extreme that it does become unhealthy. And being able to openly um, talk to my clients about this, like my clients know that like everything is an open book. There's like 100% transparency in everything because they know that if they hide something from me that I can't fully help them and then I'm going to find out anyway. So then like like being able to talk about these things openly, and then as a coach recognizing, hey, you probably shouldn't be pulling doubles like sessions as often. Like let's talk about why you feel like you have to do this before it becomes a physical issue more than a mental issue.
And so then what role does rest and recovery play in the whole process of, getting to that healthier space?
It's very important, and just like being in that right mindset, if your body isn't prepared to train, then you've already set yourself up for failure, and those days are needed to be able to recover and heal, not just physically but also mentally. Like we work 40 hours plus a week. We sit in traffic, we sit at desks, we come home and we have like all these things that we have to do in our day-to-day lives, and being able to recognize like, yeah, I'm doing these things and I'm training for me, but I have all these other things outside of training that I also have to take care of. And being able to recognize you need that like maybe 1 hour a day just to take for you to do what's important to you, what makes you smile, what helps you relax in those things. And like I'm even guilty of that at times, as a business owner, a small business owner, my wife and I work very hard. We work really long hours. But we also have to take that time to take a step back and be like, yeah, I need a day. I need a day to just like rest and get my mind back at it so I can continue giving so much of myself to my clients.
So then when you're working with your clients and making sure that they're getting obviously all the support they need, besides the rest and recovery, diet and nutrition is obviously a huge part if you're trying to hit certain fitness goals. Do you recommend a specific diet for your customers, or does that fluctuate depending on kind of the season they're in life and the goals they're trying to hit?
It's definitely based per client because like I'm a big believer that there's not just one copy paste formula for everyone. Everybody's different and everybody has different metabolisms, different um hormonal levels, different activity levels. So when they're coming to me and they're looking for nutrition advice, we definitely take a look at what they're already eating. And then we typically just find one or two things that like are small to change, but those small changes over time make very big results. There's not really one that I would specifically recommend for like the masses, but I do feel like it's important to take that time, especially in the beginning, to like have it on paper about like what we are eating and what we are putting into our bodies, because sometimes we don't even realize what we're putting into our body is that bad until we have it right there in front of us. And being able to take it apart for that client so they can get to their goals the best way possible is super important.
And there's a lot of debate around restrictive diets versus like maybe a Mediterranean style or a keto, or, there's so many trendy diets, if you will. Do you tend to pull parameters from those different diets, or do you follow more of like an intuitive plan for people, or how do you go about crafting those suggestions for your clients?
Well, like I hate the word diet, honestly. Like I feel like that diets are meant to be temporary. And if we're going on this journey of creating a lifestyle of better health, better wellness, that we have to be able to change a relationship with food and finding a diet that is sustainable for a client, meaning they're getting all of their macros, they're getting their fuel sources from the right places, they're getting all of their vitamins and nutrients. That's much more important than putting somebody on a fad diet and watching them lose all this weight only to gain it back and then some, or do permanent damage to their metabolism because they're not getting their fuel from the right sources.
Speaking of metabolism, do you incorporate things like hormone levels and some of those more medical aspects into your training with your nursing background?
We definitely take it into account. We know that like men, of course, have more testosterone, biological women eventually hit menopause and different like levels of hormones change, but we don't have anything as of yet, at least, that will like do serum testing or anything like that. That's like my big vision. Like one day have a doctor on site and to be able to clinically give people workout plans based on their needs down to like their serum of their blood.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool area. There's so much amazing research coming out in that area, especially for women, because historically speaking, women's training plans have been very much based off of men's research, right?
Even all men aren't created equal. And a lot of these plans are for people who build really well. And you see these guys online, they're on Instagram, TikTok, and they're doing these crazy things and they're all beefed out. And like the masses, like the typical general gym goer just doesn't necessarily understand that these people have taken like 30 takes for that one video, that their diet is measured to the microgram, down to the macro, that these people have a whole team of people helping take care of them. And being able to show people that, like, yeah, you can have these attainable goals, but there's also certain things you have to do to be able to take care of yourself for the long term, no matter your gender, because it's not as simple as gender. We know that everybody's hormones are different. Everybody is built different. People are prone to build strength or to build muscle easier or to lose fat easier. You know, it's really based on the person. And as much as like our current research for exercise is definitely male dominated and male based, when it boils down to it, at the end of the day, everybody's different. And if we have to approach each member and each client as they're like a clean slate, no matter their gender, no matter their background, no matter anything. And that's like the fun part, right? Because then you get to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you find there's a bit of trial and error with new clients as you figure out what works for them, what motivates them, that sort of stuff?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm fully like disclaimer when people start with us. It's like, you know, here's like the plan that I think is the best plan for you, but I'm not always right, you know, but then we also discuss other possibilities there as well. We like to think about like every possibility there could be when I talk to my newer clients, especially because I want to, number one, ease their mind, because I'm thinking about that long term. Because again, like this journey is not just going to happen in a month or two. You're talking months and months of dedication and time and effort that you're putting into this journey. And being able to show a client from the get-go that you're interested in their well-being and everything throughout every aspect of this journey definitely is a big help. And if we did have to change something along the way, then it's not that big of a deal because they already knew, hey, this might not work, but here's some other options that definitely will.
So what do you do when a client comes to you and is looking for that quick fix? How do you help them, I guess, see the light, if you will, in the fact that you need to put the work in to get the results?
Well, like I definitely share my experiences because I remember getting frustrated along my journey because I wanted it to happen really quickly, but I quickly found out then as well that it doesn't. But it's also important for the trainer to understand that like this is also a journey that you're going on with this client, and being able to like talk to them in the long term of everything will help them, and setting realistic goals over time is definitely something. Like we get clients that come in and like they definitely can't squat, they can't move overhead, because we do a lot of therapeutic services as well as weight loss and strength building. And seeing a client like finally like understand like, oh, this is really a longer journey, and being able to push them past that mental threshold of that is really rewarding. But it does take a little bit of time sometimes, and just really a lot of patience on our end, a lot of encouragement, and just reminding them that Rome wasn't built in a day, and it did not take you a single month to get to where you are right now. So it is going to take some time to be able to get to a better, healthier place.
So if there was one piece of advice that you could give to someone who has not yet taken the leap into their path to wellness, what would it be?
Just jump, just do it. Just don't wait any longer and just start like as soon as possible. Start today. And like it's a scary jump. You're at this edge of a cliff and you just can't see anything, and it's all dark and you have no idea what's beneath like these clouds at the top of this cliff. But you have to trust that you're gonna fall into the right place with the right kind of people who would help you. I wasn't self-made. I did put in all of that hard work, but I definitely couldn't have done it without the support of those that I had around me, my friends and my family and my coaches and people like you, honestly, who just want to hear my story. And it's the same thing for my clients, being able to find a community, find people who really do deeply care about your goals and your ambitions and your needs and your wants within your own fitness journey is definitely a big component into a lot of my clients' success.
And so what would you say has been the most rewarding piece of this journey for you?
Definitely just being able to come full circle with everything. I now own a gym, of course, that prides itself on its inclusivity and the kind of care that you get when you walk through our door, and being able to help other people who didn't quite love themselves or struggling with their image or just struggling with their identity. Our gym is very openly LGBT owned and friendly. We are a big safe space here in San Diego, and we really pride ourselves on that. And being able to see this community built from honestly just two people, my wife and I, is amazing. And I am forever humbled and inspired by my gym and my clients' journeys.
Is your wife a coach as well?
Yes, she is. She does group fitness as well as some of our online stuff. And she's actually currently working towards her NASM certification to do personal training.
Oh, cool. Fantastic. So if listeners wanted to work with you or get a hold of you, is your website the best way to go about that?
Absolutely. You can look on our website. It's www.theexperiencefitness.com. We also have a very active Instagram and Facebook, and both of those are at The Experience Fitness.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with me today and chat with me. I really appreciate it. I think it's something that so many people are currently struggling with or can relate to. We've all had our own ups and downs when it comes to health, whether it be you yourself or a loved one that you know. So I think it's really great to hear other people's journeys and where it's taken them, and just get that, like you were saying, community, right? You're never alone in this.
Absolutely. No, you're never alone. And if you feel like you're alone, then you're not in the right place. One of my favorite sayings is, if a flower isn't growing in its garden, change the garden, not the flower. And for me, it was moving out to California and being able just to show people out here that there's a different way of doing things, and other people just seeing my vision.
That's fantastic. Again, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to Supplementing Health. For more information about our guests, past shows, and future topics, please visit aor.ca/podcast or aor.us/podcast. Do you have a topic you want us to cover? We invite you to engage with us on social media to request a future topic, or email us at marketing@aor.ca. We hope